So Rob, we know each other for a little bit here. Some people here don't know you. So if you can just kind of give us a quick intro, where you came from, what's going on, what's happening.
Sure. I'm out of Texas. I'm the president of FFL Apex, one of Ivan's groups. I came to FFL from working at a couple different agencies, being from really poor quality leads to final expense, more mortgage protection focused. And I came to FFL in April of 2019, and started to build pretty quick. I think last year I did a little over 600,000. This year, 885.
Well, that's some video game numbers here. But what actually, Rob, what impressed me the most is, the fact that you made a decision to leave your previous career, which was in insurance as well, where you were already making crazy money. Not maybe not that crazy to FFL, but it was pretty crazy to me because I mean, like I don't see a lot of people actually leaving their careers when they making, what was it, 350,000 a year they were making at the
give or take about 300.
Wow.
Yeah, about that.
That's insane. So you went and you left that, and you obviously start making way more than that. So which I'm pretty sure you happy about. But talk to us a little bit about what for some of the people that still now with FFL that will be watching this video, what influenced your decision? What actually made you say, okay, I think this is, I'm already making 350, which is insane, right? But most people don't make that in the insurance industry. Especially if they're outside of FFL, there's like very few. But you're like, oh, I think FFL is actually better than where I'm at now, and I think I can make more money. So can you kind of break that down?
Timing's everything. And I was at a point in my career where I was capped out. I had made this literally almost identical the same for 3 years. And then they changed their marketing platform from focusing on lead-driven culture to doing more social security seminars, more advanced sales stuff. And I just wanted to do what I was good at. And I had an agent that worked for me that quit and then came to work for Family First Life. And that agent introduced me to Mark. And when I met Mark, it was just like we had some chemistry right off the bat, and he was sharing the opportunity. And it wasn't so much that the contracts were not what excited me. I mean, now it's nice to be at a high comp level, but that isn't why I came over. The reason I came over is because I wanted my team to be able to make more money. And I was at like 100, 110 at the last company, and they were at 60s. And they weren't able to grow. And they didn't have a lot of incentive to work really hard and do any more than 10, 15,000 a month in production because they just weren't making that much. So my thing was that if I could come over here and, I came over at a 110 and we did 150 our first month. So the game has changed, right? So I kept the same contract level when I came over, and I took a big pay cut actually to join FFL in terms of the spread I was getting over my group. But I like the idea that we could recruit in all 50 states, where before I was stuck just recruiting in Dallas. And I like the idea that anybody could grow and build. I like the idea that we had multiple sources of leads. And I like the opportunity to grow uncapped. And there's no politics. It was like, if you write this amount of business, you're going to have this contract level. If you do this, you're going to do this, then you're going to do this. Where I was before, there just wasn't there wasn't any opportunity to grow. So the growth opportunity here is what really attracted me. And I knew that if I stayed there, I would, I'd never grow personally or develop professionally. And I was seeking out role models, and I was seeking mostly a platform to be able to do some big things. And when Mark was telling me that how much he made, I'm like, this is really crazy. I don't like, how do you do that? No one was doing that at the other company. I was with another one that I started with where some of those guys were, but only when they owned the agency. And I knew I wasn't going to have that opportunity anywhere. So when I learned what Mark did and what he built, it opened my eyes a little bit. And then he invited me to come on board and partner up and try to build. And then, Ivan, then we kind of got matched up.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, that's cool. That's really interesting. And I hope that helps someone make that decision. So you kind of touched on the role models. Okay. So when I jumped on. There were some role models for me here in FFL that I learned from, people like Paul McLean, Matt Smith, Mark Mead, and honestly, I think you not to undermine what they've done because they had different conditions, but man, you outproduced all of them. So now you are that role model to all the new people that come on board, and they're looking up to you. They're listening to you, and you're the one that's actually providing that training to them, which is unbelievably good, man. So, but and speaking of the training, obviously that's one of the things. For me personally, I just wanted to put it out there. It was leads, but there's 5 things that really stand out in FFL. As we all know, it's a top comp up to 145%, warm leads, crazy good training, and actually training that doesn't motivate you, but really give you like a step-by-step instruction on how to do certain things, whether it's building, hiring, things of that nature. No contract, invested from day one. So for me personally, it was actually the leads, because I definitely lacked them. I didn't have any with my previous company. So, but I mean, there's 2 sides to my next question. Obviously, well, one is more of a statement because I think, Rob, you're a true representation of actually people that create this kind of training, that train people to you issued over 800,000 this year. That's just some crazy stuff.
I really did over 900, but I put a couple deals under some other agents because I didn't have contracts with them. So I did probably closer to 110, or excuse me, 910.
Yeah. So I mean, that's almost like $1 million right there. So, and as the more I talk to agents, new agents that come on board and really figure out what actually sold them, what actually got them to join us, and people point out different kind of things. Sometimes they say, you know what, the biggest thing is renewals from day one, because that's what they were lacking. This, and the third, the basically, the different kind of things. I'm like, I never really thought about it. Actually, every little piece makes sense. And Family First Life put all the pieces of the puzzle together so well that, to allow people, and agents, actually agents, to do crazy things. So, but what was, let's dive into some of that, because I mean, I think you're one of the creator of this training. You go to events, you train, you record some of your own content. So, and some of the people would bring on this call, they either good at selling or at hiring, right? So I think with you, it's kind of both, because you're building a massive team. You like outselling most of the people in the whole entire FFL. So what would be your advice to people on this call, and to some people that are thinking about FFL right now, as to why do you think the sales side of it is so successful for FFL agents?
I want to make sure I'm answering the question that you asked me. So are you asking me, are you asking why do people at FFL sell so much?
Correct. Exactly. Like what you made 350, you probably sold, a little more than that with your previous company. You came on board and you shoot like 900,000 in sales.
No, dude, my best sales year was like $250,000. That was net, not issue pay, but still, like maybe I IP'd like 300 something. But yeah, I think over here people are more motivated to write business because they make so much more. Like they keep a bigger piece of the pie, and I think that's something that's undervalued at FFL, or not talked about as much as some of the other things. It's like, dude, you got to think, if you're at a 60% contract advance at 75%, like you're making less than 50% of what you sell. And a lot of agents are they're working, they're building, so they're at 110s, 115s, some at even 120, and you're keeping almost 100% of what you sell. So I think the motivation is there. Also, we do have so many different types of leads that we're just able to get in front of more people. So why do people sell more insurance here? I don't know. We're hiring the right people, probably. But it's easier. Why is it easier to sell here? It's easier to sell because we have more opportunities to get in front of people. I love that we are a culture that we go and meet people in person versus being a Zoom-based culture. I think people are going to work harder. I think that activity breeds activity. So when you're out in the field and you get no-showed, rather than, if you're on a Zoom call, you might go take a nap or like go eat a snack or something. Here it's like you go knock on a door or two, and activity will breed more activity. So even lack of activity, if you're stuck out in the field, you have to do something. You'll pull into a parking lot, and make dials, or you'll door knock, and that will get you in front of more people, and correspondingly, you'll write more business.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely motivations there for sure. So, but can you break down in just a few sentences your sales system? What is your approach? How do you, because I see a lot of new agents on the call today. What they should be paying attention to in the beginning? Is it, phones, in-home training? So,
Two things. That's a lot of questions all in one. So I wanna answer all of them. So phones, number one. I'm really good on the phone. I'm an average guy, but I'm really good on the phone. I've developed a skill set over the last 10, 15, well, shoot, I mean, I'm going to be 35 this year. When I was 22, I took my first job as a stockbroker. Basically, I was just a cold caller. So for a year and a half, I was just making 50 hours of like literally white pages, cold calls a week. And then American Income, not a lot, not great leads, another 18 months of like serious machine gunning of leads. So from those two, from the first 3 years of my career, I developed a skill set of phones. So I think the number one thing that people need to get good at is phones. The presentation is done. Like, it's just, if you get there, you're going to trip and fall head first into deals 1 out of 3 times. So you can like, sorry, I say the word suck like very loosely, but I think it's funny to say, like, you can suck here and you can still make 2 1/4. Because if you just set enough appointments, like you're gonna get in front of people that just want to buy insurance. So you don't even need to be good at Family First Life and be at 100% contract and close 1 out of 3 and make $4,500 a week. And after the cost of your leads, be making $3,700, $3,500 a week. Like, you can't do that anywhere else.
that's that's a good perspective, and I like how straightforward you are with that. Well, no, that's true, but all right.
We like people like that too. Like, if you have people that are just really hardworking individuals, that's my favorite guy to work with. Not the person who said that they're the best salesman in the world and they can close 9 out of 10 people. Like, I don't like that guy's cool, but I'd rather have the person who's like, man, I'm just so grateful to be here. Tell me what I got to do and I'll do it. If I have to make 350 phone calls or 400 phone calls, I'll do it. I don't know if y'all saw that graphic we put out yesterday with that guy Chris Ford.
Yes.
If you look on the Apex Instagram, you'll see it. And you know how we're doing a lot of similar stuff to Grady now, where it's like the first 30 days. So this guy's first 30 days, he was working at Walmart making $2,500 a month. All right, as a manager. So I don't know what that really entails as a manager at Walmart if you're only making $2,500 a month, but he wasn't experienced. He's 26 or 27, I can't remember. Not a ton of like life experience, and he came over here and he's like, I'm just gonna work really hard. He spent $4,000 on leads, didn't question it. He spent almost twice what he made a month on leads because he believed in it, and he wrote 28,000 and change his first 30 days. I called him last night and I was like, man, like, how many calls did you make on Monday to get your activity? Because he was freaking out. He wrote 4,800 yesterday, and he's like, I literally just made twice in a day than I made in 2 months at Walmart. And I'm like, how many dials did it take you to do that? He goes, dude, I don't keep track of my dials. I dial until I have 8 appointments on Tuesday and 8 appointments on Wednesday. I'm like, but yeah, that's awesome. But like, can you quantify that for me? He's like, I probably made 380 dials on Monday. Like, I don't know how many people are on this call. Like 25 people on this call. I don't recognize a ton of the names, so I'd imagine that a lot of them are newer. I mean, would you make 380 calls in a day and spend $1,000 a week on leads to make $4,000 in a day?
Yep.
I mean, I think most people probably would do that. So like, take me out of it because I've got a lot of experience and, I know how to sell insurance and make calls, but let's use some brand new people who, like, I train them. The training that they get is like, here's leads, here's a script. Don't stop dialing until you have 10 appointments set. and call me after you make your first set so we can get really excited about it and talk about how that didn't hurt so bad that you had to make 20 phone calls to set that one appointment. And if you set the stage like that, like people are they're gonna do it because it's not a big deal. And if we can make everything not a big deal, then nothing will be a big deal to people. Making 200 calls won't be a big deal. Making 350 calls won't be a big deal. Getting no-showed won't be a big deal. So I get no-showed more than most. Steve Giordano gets no-showed more than I do. I think I was like the number 3 producer because Jonathan Persino like turned on the turbojets in December and had an insane month. But like he and I are the number 1 and number 2 producers. The only difference between him and I, he gets no-showed more than I do. He gets more no's than I do. But he gets more yeses too. The only difference between me and everybody on this call is that I got no-showed more than you. I got more no's than you did this year. That's really the only difference.
Sure. All right. Well, let's just switch gears here and talk about hiring, right? So that's obviously recruiting, hiring, recruiting. We say as of late, recruiting is the answer because it truly is. What does it mean to you, Rob?
Recruiting means that, the non-political answer. What recruiting means for me is that I won't have to get no-showed quite as much in 2021. The more political answer is that it puts you in a position so you don't always have to be reliant fully on your own personal production. And if a buyout through integrity is what your end goal is, then that's not going to be everybody's goal. Like we don't have to pretend like every agent we hire is gunning to get bought out because that's just not reality. But maybe your goals are to make $250,000 a year, and you don't have your schedule or your family life or something doesn't permit you to go out and write $400,000 of IP a year. Well, you can still make $250,000 if you recruit 5 or 10 people. If you have a team that's doing 100,000 or 125,000, you're doing 25,000, then you'll make more than $250,000 that year. You'll make like $350,000 that year. So what is recruiting is the answer. And you say it's the answer. That's Sean Mike's answer, and that's the answer to everybody that wants to build, and that's amazing. It is the answer. But what is it? What's the question? It's the answer to. Is it that I want to get out of the field? Is it that I want to get bought out? Is it that I want to change people's lives? Do I want to bring people into this opportunity because I know it's better than anything else out there? I mean, it depends on the individual. I think I'm a combination of all of those things. I think that anybody that is selling insurance should work for Family First Life. I think that the compensation model that we have here and the availability of leads is better than anywhere else. I also don't want to be in the field for the rest of my life. I also would like to gun for a buyout with integrity. I'd like all of those things. So it kind of depends on the question, but it's the answer to just about every possible question you could pose.
That's great, man. Well, I'm through with my questions, but we have plenty of hungry people on the call today. So I'm going to just get out of the way. And I hope you guys been taking notes. Number 1, number 2, have your questions ready because I know Rob's time is expensive. I've learned so much from him. I've had a pleasure actually having a direct access to him and spend some time together and get to ask him these questions. But that's your time, guys. So just go ahead and mute yourself and bring your questions up.
Hey guys, I got a question for you regarding recruiting. Look, I've been in this business for a long time. I've managed offices a very long time ago. So obviously, things have changed with Indeed and Craigslist. And where do you guys recruit most people? What are you using to recruit, basically?
Who's that question to?
Well, Rob, you go.
It could be to both. It could be to, it could be to any of you guys, honestly.
Awesome.
I think the biggest thing is just like leads when you're selling, having diversified resources for recruiting is important as well. I've used a lot of resources that I would probably not recommend to people. I think Ivan can say the same. So I'm still working on what would work the best. I know Sean hates Indeed. I know that you get quality. You don't get a lot of volume from that. And that's probably why he doesn't like it so much. And it's expensive. Social media is the best way to recruit. We just hired a social media manager. So that will take our business to the next level. Hopefully add a few $100,000 a month of IP in the next 6 months here, just from that source alone.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all of it works. Zip, Monster, Indeed. I would not recommend AMG. I haven't used like that Wall Street one. I don't know if you're probably not recommending that one. Do you use any other sources that I haven't mentioned?
No, not really. You covered it pretty much. So Indeed, yes, expensive. I personally like it. So there's a good flow. It is expensive though. Wall Street jobs, you're gonna be locked in a contract, number one. Number two, it's more of a cold resume database. Does it work? Yes. So you just have to be creative with email marketing campaigns. Maybe obviously you have to have staff to process that database. I mean, it's just impossible to do it on your own. But the quality is there. I mean, we've hired quite a bit of people. I mean, I think when we say recruiting is the answer, I think the way to recruit is social media is the answer. I mean, that's everything nowadays. So, I mean, can you use Zip? Does ZipRecruiter works? Absolutely. Does Craigslist work? Absolutely. I mean, I've hired first 5 agents through Craigslist. Okay, and it wasn't that expensive either, but it's not.
So I have a question, Ivan. Craig Wood.
Craig, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not much. Glad to be here. So on the recruiting side of it, I will say this. I actually found FFL because there's so much visibility across every channel of the internet that you can come to. If you think the word insurance, FFL pops up on a Google search. So it's that's how I found the company. But anyway, my question is on recruiting and I guess in interviewing. For Rob. So when you're recruiting, do you have some expectations before you'll even speak to someone about coming into your agency? And I'll tell you why I asked this, because I came from a company that would reach down on the ground, grab a big bunch of mud and fling it across the room, and whatever stuck got to stick around for the awful commissions.
Yeah. So what's the specific question there? What do I know about the candidates?
Yeah, I mean, how do you decide? I mean, obviously, because you come across as someone who's matter of fact and wants productivity. So are there any signs right up front that you're going to move forward with this person, that you're looking for, that you know that you're willing to take the gamble on them on being a productive agent?
Yeah, it's all about the questions that they ask you more than the questions you ask them. If the questions are like, do I have to pay for leads? Not so sold on that person. Do I have to drive to people's houses? Not sold. Can I work from home? Can I hire a dialer? Not sold. The questions that I like to hear are going to be ones that are like, is there a limit on how many leads I can buy? What should my budget for leads be a week? How many phone calls do top producers make in order to get the results they're looking for? Can I hire people right off the bat, or do I have to wait 6 months to do that? You get my drift?
Yeah, I get you. You're looking for, they're asking questions because they're already kind of building the business in their head while they're talking to you. So I got it. Yep.
Yeah, look, like I could be better at this too. Like I'm not doing $1 million a month yet. Hopefully I will this year.
Got your drift. Yeah, I got your drift. That's kind of what I was looking for. And that gives me an idea where to start, because I'm not used to doing any higher interviewing for folks who I need to be productive. That directly affect my income. You know what I mean? So those questions right there are good. Yeah, that's good.
Anybody else has a question, if that's okay?
Go ahead, Teresa.
Yes, and I'm not successful yet at all, but I'm a workaholic. I have 5 jobs, and I'm going to try to eventually become successful. You guys have been patient with me. I haven't sold a darn thing, but I'm not buying the leads because I don't have the money yet, but it's going to come. Anyway, these are the main objections I get in a little bit of time I can spend with people on the phone. The main objections is that these people are already very insurance savvy. They know everything about it and they want the best price. They're like, well, I already have this. This is what I've seen repeatedly in a pattern. They want a better price from what they're paying, and they expect something that's not really realistic. How do you approach that from a sales perspective?
Look, I think the answer to that question, Teresa, is like you gotta not worry so much about the people that know everything about insurance that are price shopping you. And the most important thing you can do is to get in front of more people. 1 out of 10 people that I get in front of are going to be that person that you're describing to a T. And that's why it's important that you get in front of more people. The more activity that you have, the less individuals like that will affect your ability to be profitable. So I can't really answer that question on what you should do there because we're limited with our scope of products that we have. And we have like 20 carriers we can sell. I'm sure one of those would be the best product on the market for these people. But if not, you just have to focus on getting in front of other people that are not that guy.
Does that help, Teresa?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm learning.
Awesome. All right.
I got a question for you, Rob. How do I establish control in the home and just maintain it throughout the process?
All right. So the way that you get control in a house is it starts on the phone. All right. The way you're setting the appointment is going to affect directly the level of control you have in a house. If you soft set the appointments, you're not going to have a ton of control because you're just hoping they're going to be there. If you set a real appointment, which I've spoken on so many times on a number of different calls and trainings, and the whole deal, right? You have to set real appointments. Without real appointments, you can't have control. If you set a real appointment, you get to the house, you build a little bit of rapport, not much, because the friend zone is not where you want to be. It doesn't work in any area of life, right? You don't want to be in the friend zone. They'll tell you they want to think about it, okay? To avoid that, you build a minimal amount of rapport because you're not there to make friends. You're there to help protect these families, right? So you say, tell me what you're looking for. That's the best way that I know to get control in a house is you don't spend a ton of time building rapport. You set a real appointment. And once you've built maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 at the most minutes of rapport, you say, so tell me what you're looking for. And then no matter what they say, you say, perfect. That's exactly what this is going to do for you. And then you gear your presentation around whatever they told you they were looking for. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
What else we got? Sales questions, people.
All right. So anybody else in the room sold over 800,000, or we want to learn from the guy who sold over 800,000? Give us some questions.
I was trying to unmute there. Sorry, Ivan. Yeah, I'm very curious about that. So I live in the Midwest in St. Louis, and I'm not really quite sure where you're from. And yeah, I guess the question is, how do you get to that? I mean, how do you find those folks that get into that market where either you're finding buyers or you're finding people who have more money, or is it just strictly a volume thing? You're selling so much.
That's all life. Okay, that 885,000 is all life. There's no annuity production in there. It's all simplified issue. I wrote maybe one fully underwritten deal in the last 2 years. All right, so this is all simplified. The answer is I spend $2,500 to $3,000 a week on leads. That's how you get in front of more people. If I bought $500 worth of leads, I couldn't get in front of the right people. I need people to see. So do you. If you want to write 400,000, right, which should be everybody's goal. I don't care if you're brand new in the business. It's not hard to do. It's challenging, but it's not hard. Like there's no secret, right? It's challenging mentally. You're going to get chargebacks. You're going to get no shows. You're going to get rejection. But dude, there's nothing that's like confusing about it. Like if you set 30 appointments a week, it's impossible not to write 400,000. If you write 20 a week if you set 20 a week and you're really, really, really good, and you close 75% of the people you see, you can probably still write 400,000. But if you're setting 10 appointments a week, like, ain't no way. You got to spend the money on the leads, because if you're running mostly instant internet leads, which in St. Louis there's a ton of, you got to buy $1,500 at minimum a week to kill it. Chris Ford, brand new agent who was making $2,500 a month, he went and got a credit card and he said, I like this opportunity. I'm going to leverage my business so I can get the number of leads I need to go see the number of people that I need to see to sell the amount of policies that I want to sell. This is a game of, are you willing to do what it takes? This is not a game of wanting or like trying to will it into action. It's like, are you actually going to do what you say you want to do to get the results that you need to get? Like, there's just, there's no sugarcoating it, right? There's too many agents that come in and don't succeed, but there's almost the same number of people that come in and do. Like, what's the denominator there? It's that the ones that are making it happen are just, they're spending more money on leads and they're asking good questions, not stupid questions. There is such a thing as a stupid question. There is. Ask the questions on, like, not why is this happening to me? Like, that's a dumb question. No one can help you with that. Right? But a good question is like, hey, so I'm getting excessive rejection over the phone. Like, can you role play with me so you can identify where I'm breaking down here? That's a good question. A stupid question is like, I'm doing everything right. I know everything, but like, I can't get the activity. Like, how come I'm not getting the activity? Like, these are, you know what I'm saying? Like, ask the right questions. And Craig, you're asking good questions on this call. So I'd imagine that you ask good questions to your mentor or coach or whoever. Who are you working with directly?
Wayne. I think I probably drive those guys nuts, but I'm pretty.
Wayne writes a lot of business. Like, Wayne's Hall of Fame. So like, Wayne knows how to coach you. I'm sure he says very similar things to what I'm saying. So maybe another voice saying the same exact thing will resonate with you a little better. It happens. It's crazy. Like, I'm just
waiting for my contracting so I can start making money.
Yeah, good. So it's a sprint.
Yeah.
Sprint to get through that and then just hit the ground running. And get yourself ready to go, like, before you get your numbers. Like, be ready to make calls before your agent numbers come in. So when you do get Americo, you're buying leads and you're setting appointments. And the day after you got your Americo number, you're closing deals and writing business. Don't like hurry up to wait more. Like, that saying, like, hurry up and wait? Like, that's what contracting is. It's hurry up and wait. But now, like, that you're done, like, once the waiting game is over, like, don't put yourself in a position to then, like, now start learning. Like, you should have started learning yesterday or whenever you submitted your contract. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So actually came from Craig, but it was last night. So obviously, and Craig, you said that you wanted to, what would be your advice, Rob? I'm just trying to kind of learn from you as well at this point and your perspective. Craig has $2,500 to spend to get going. So what would you say to him? Spend it all in the first week or spread it out the course of the 2 weeks? Because that might be very confusing, because I just noticed that when you two were talking, you said, yeah, I'm spending $3,000 a week on leads. I just Craig to get one question the entire 2,500 he's got on leads.
So if I had 2,500, this would be really scary to do, but I'd spend 2,000 of it.
I'm not scared to spend every penny of it.
Yeah. Well, then I'd do that. I mean, like, here, like, I would spend, so fine, if you want to do that, then so tomorrow, you don't have your numbers yet. When your numbers come in, I'd spend $1,500 on Sunday night, and then I'd spend the other $1,000 on Wednesday night. So I had $2,500 of leads to call my first week, and I would not stop calling from 8 to 9 a.m. to p.m. until I had 15 appointments set, minimum. And then I'd do that again on Thursday. And if you did that, you're, because you would have spent $1,500, you would do 2 sales and you would have made more than that already. I'm a big fan if you can break even for the first 2 weeks, but you're learning. So if you spend $3,000 the first 2 weeks, if you made $3,000 your first 2 weeks, you're in the same exact position you were the 2 weeks prior, but you learned a ton and you got better the next week. Like, that's the name of the game. It's like, ultimately, you'll be able to either spend less to get the same result or spend the same and get way better results. And either way, it's improvement and it's being more efficient, right, with your time. So whatever that is to you, like your first 30 days are pretty pivotal, you're going to learn a lot in your first 30 days. And your first 30 days start when you get your first agent number in. Okay. So from that first 30 days, you can change your life in 30 days. When I came on board now, albeit this is a little bit unfair to say because I've been in the business for a while, but when I got paid, when I wrote my first 45 days at FFL, I issue paid $110,000. And that just like completely, and that's, so no, 120, because I did like 20 something in April, which I was trying to figure out how the hell to write old leads. How do I make money on like instant internet leads? And then how do I make money? Because we had like EverQuote then. These are like better than EverQuote. And then I had like old CRM leads, the $3 old mortgage protection leads. And then something clicked after 2 weeks of being a victim and being like, why is this happening? Oh my God, like, I don't know how to write business on these shitty leads. Excuse my language. I adjusted my approach and then wrote 96 in May. And that would change most people's lives. So if you do a third of that and you wrote 33,000 your second month, or your second and third set of 15 days. So like your first 2 weeks, you're getting your head kicked in. But then your second month that you're in, you wrote 33,000. You're making 25 grand on that, dude. That's a good return.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
You can do 7,500 a week. Nobody can convince me that writing 7,500 a week is impossible. You can't convince me of that. You can convince me how lazy you are. You can convince me on your lack of ability to spend money on resources. But you can't convince me that if you spent the money and you made the calls, then it was impossible. Like too many people doing
What
it.
I'm worried about. I mean, I was doing a little telesales thing, and I wrote close to 36 grand in 27 days on the telephone, getting people's checking account numbers in an hour on the telephone. If I can get in front of them, I can sell them. I just want to try to make sure that I'm getting the most bang for my buck with this 2,500 on my initial lead purchase.
What's 2,500 divided by 11? I mean, that's how many leads. And they probably have those in St. Louis.
Yeah, they're $9 actually. The internet, the instant ones are 11, and when I looked last night, there was like 9 of them. I planned on buying all 9 whenever I'm ready, and then the other ones I'll buy those new internet leads that are $9 a piece.
You got a bunch of them there, huh?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And get a variety of stuff and treat them all the same. Treat them all like every lead sucks, right? But they're good. They're good leads. But like you can't get mad if someone tells you no.
Right.
Like you have to understand that's part of the process. The expectation has to be that like, look, I'm going to get a lot of no's, but give me all the no's. I would judge the success of my phone call, of my phone sessions, not by the number of appointments that I would set, by the size of my burn pile. You remember that old office that I had in up by the airport?
Yeah.
Like that crappy office with that table in the middle. And I used to sit on the one side of the table and you sat on the other side of the table. And
at the moment, my office were way worse than yours. So your office looked like an awesome deal to me. So.
Well, dude, the office I have now is nice. The office I had before, like, I didn't like that office. I'm not talking about, I guess my office now is near the other airport. That first office in Irving that I had. Anyways,
yeah, I remember it.
I would fold the lead in half, every lead that said no. I'd fold it in half and I'd put it on the ground. And dude, I'd have a stack like this thick by the end of that phone session, but I'd have like 10 or 12 good appointments set out of that. And then I drive around and pick up checks. See, like the thing is with phone sessions is that the harder that it is, the better quality your appointments are going to be. It's an inverse relationship to me. If I have a super easy phone session and I set like 12 appointments in an hour and a half, which happens sometimes, I'm like, woof, I'm about to get no-showed like crazy. But like if I bang the phones and I struggle and I make like 150, 200 calls to set, 10 appointments or even like sometimes 6 appointments, like they're all going to be there. And they're all going to be like $250 a month deals. And I'm going to write like 20,000 in a half week. It just happens that way. So you can't get discouraged from massive amounts of rejection. If that's what I could leave anybody here, if anybody on this call is really listening, I think Craig is listening. But it's like, don't get deterred by the big rejection, because like those are going to be your best phone. Those are going to be your best sales weeks when you have really hard phone sessions. So instead of getting really upset about it when it's happening, be like, I remember what Rob told me. Like when he said he'd have a really bad phone session, he'd write like 25,000. I'm telling you, those are my biggest weekends. I write most of my business on the weekends. The other takeaway is stack your weekends. So everything is like, it's very obvious. Buy leads, yes. Make a lot of phone calls, yes. It's all good, right? But what you want to do is you want to not be afraid of rejection, and you want to stack up your weekends so then you don't have any pressure on your Monday phone session. So then Tuesday and Wednesday can be less productive than the weekend, and you still hit your goal. Your goal should be to do your minimum amount of production for the week and get that all in over the weekend. And anything you do Tuesday, Wednesday is like the cherry on top. And if you play like that when you have no pressure, it's amazing how people just want to buy from you.
I have a question regarding the inventory, let's say. So I went into the CRM and I'm sitting on, I don't know, maybe 200 plus 1 month and 3 month. So
where do you live?
I'm sorry.
Where do you live?
West Palm, Florida.
Gotcha.
Florida. So, I mean, there's a ton of people to call. My question is, everybody used to come to me. So with COVID and office changing and everything, now I'm going to people. Sitting on all these leads, when do you burn them? When do you say, fuck it? Oh, sorry, excuse my French. When do you say, forget it? You know, I've called this one house 5 times, or I mean, as an individual person, there's only so much time to be on the phone, outdoor knocking, out in the field, right? So I don't want to, and I was talking with someone I'm trying to recruit regarding this. You know, at some point we're going to have thousands of leads that we bought in the CRM, because you're not going to sell everybody. You're not going to contact everybody. So when you buy, if you're buying, you know, like, look, if you're spending between $1,500 a week, you're buying, you know, 300 leads, unless you're spending all instant internet. And I think what I'm learning from FFL is you always want to have a mix. So you got instant, you got 1 month, 3 month. So what do you do with all your old crap? When do you purge it?
I don't. I put it in a folder and I hire agents and I give those are free leads.
That's basically what I thought, is to keep them, because the 1 month old, 12 months from now, they may have gotten frustrated. So they're worth calling. I mean, just because it's a year old, to me.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I'm glad you said it. Just pile them up. Just keep them and recycle them to new agents. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. But I also call my leads a lot. Like, I abuse my leads. I think when they send in a card or they respond to something, like that's them giving me permission to dial them a disrespectful amount of times. Yes,
I agree. But if you're buying so many, there really is only so much time to call people.
Yeah, but dude, like, you're not approaching this the right way. You break up your leads into 20 lead piles. So you print them all out. I don't dial off the screen. I print out my leads. You break it up into piles of 20. You call through it once, then you triple dial it. Move it to the side. Next set of 20. One time through, triple dial it, double dial it. Next pile. You know, and by the time you get through 3 stacks of those, dude, you've made like 250 calls. So you probably have activity there. So I don't know why you're buying 200 leads at a time. That's ludicrous to me. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would.
Yeah, but if you're spending $1,500 a week on leads, what are you buying? What's the volume?
Well, that's 150. So with instant internet leads, for your example, right? That's 150. Now, for me, mortgage protection are expensive. So if I get 40 mortgage protection leads in at $65 a piece, that adds up really quick.
Well, these are the $3, $4 CRM leads, right?
So that was your budget doesn't need to be $1,500 on those, man.
Oh no, it couldn't be.
When I wrote 96 off of those, I was buying 150 of them a week, and I was setting 20 appointments.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but it does.
So yeah,
it doesn't mean out of the 200 I bought, I'm filling up, and I'm wondering, well, I still have other people to call. Do I buy? I mean, I'm the type I'll just keep buying, but I don't want to be buried in leads. I don't want to have more leads
That's a
that
good
I
problem.
can't contact because those people wanted help and
never complain about that again. Having too many leads is a good thing. You know how many people wish they were in your position? No such thing as having too many leads.
yeah, but if you can't call them, it's a waste of money and it's a waste of their time. Like I'm sitting on all these leads,
dude, like
I've got to call.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna argue with you back and forth on this, but like you can be more selective with the people. Like if they tell you no, throw it away. Don't try to call them again. If they don't pick up 8 times, put it in another pile. Don't call it again. Save it for your new agents. Like you definitely have time. You can make more dials. It's how bad do you want it, right? Like, I mean, how bad do you want to get the activity? This is to everybody. It's weird. Like in Zooms, like I feel like I'm like singling one person out, but I'm not. Like it's just to everybody. How bad do you want it? Like you can't have too few or too many leads. If you have too few leads, go door knock and resolve every single one of them. If you have too many leads, you can be more selective with the appointments that you're setting. There's no such thing as too many or too few. If you have 40 leads in a week, resolve every single one of them and you're going to write business. Get your knuckles on every single door of the people that don't pick up. Then you'll stay busy. I promise you that. If you have 1,000 leads, then make 150 calls every day. And you'll be appointment flush. You don't have too many leads. But there's no way. And if you don't want those, if you have too many leads, I bet Craig will fly down to West Palm and run them for you.
No, he won't.
I promise you. Yeah, I ain't scared. I'm in Fort Myers a lot playing baseball.
No,
anyway.
You answered my question, so
Yeah.
we can move on.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we have time for one more. Who's the lucky one?
I have a question.
I see this dude everywhere, Gabriel. Okay. So
He's traveling. He's on all kinds of Zooms, and he's
let's get a question.
What's up, Gabe? What's up, Gabe?
Yeah, I'm in Florida in between appointments right now. So who's that guy with Florida leads? I'll take him. But no, my question is.
I think you guys all misunderstood me. So
I know. I'm just picking, man. I'm just picking on you. So I've been here since April, and I would definitely say that in my time here, it's become, a little easier. I was, we come from the same company, Rob, and so I would say I had decent training, and I was being pretty detailed in my approaches. And now my appointments are much simpler. I'm in and out much quicker, and it's easy. Last week I wrote 14K, and I didn't really even have a really packed schedule. And I've heard you say the same, that your appointments are pretty simple. And how would you say is the format generally of your appointment? I know you said that you asked the question how it goes, but what kind of like buying signs are you looking for besides the obvious, how much money they got, how important is it to them? Like, because where I am now is sometimes I'm walking out of appointments wondering if I couldn't have got a higher premium. Not that it's about like it's about like I'm focused on them, like getting them what they need, and like I'm happy with what I'm making, but I'm just kind of like wondering where I can improve and want to know what top producing agents are doing in the home. If that might be a little bit of a convoluted question, but
no, not at all. How do you? Well, here maybe I took one little piece out of this that you said. Sometimes you wish you could get bigger sales. I've never really wanted that, and I don't know how small is to you. But like, if every deal that I wrote was between $125 and $180 a month, like I'd be really happy.
Right.
When I write deals that are 250 plus a month, it makes me nervous. When I write deals that are under 100, I'm like, maybe I wish it was bigger, but I know that like my numbers are pretty consistent. Like I write like my average AP out of a house with a husband and wife is like a little over 2,000. Because like what I do, and I run mostly mortgage protection. So when I'm running that, like I'm going to use 20% of the mortgage payment as my target for the premium to not exceed that number. So if they're paying $2,000 a month, like I got brass balls on that one. I'm showing 400 on the top option. And then I'm going to show like 50% of that for the bottom option. I show 2 options, full coverage and half. I don't give them a million options. Look, I'm not trying to disrupt culture or strategy or anything. I don't even know what FFL does. What I do know is that a lot of Grady Polson's agents that are doing mortgage protection are using my presentation, and that team writes a ton of business. So, and I can speak for myself that I write a ton of business. So like, I don't like people that think about too much stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like if I give them two options, like which one makes the most sense for your situation, but is comfortable financially and gives you the peace of mind that you're looking for. You know, so here's the deal. You asked me that question, I want to answer it. So when I'm pumping up the value in these things, because people will always buy value, they'll buy value over price, even if it pushes them a little bit financially, like within reason, of course. Like I just sell living benefits. I don't really talk about death benefit that much. I really don't. When I'm like, dude, flip a coin, one of us is getting cancer. Flip another coin, one of us is getting a heart attack or a stroke. That's a 75% chance of you using this policy. Like, I'm not trying to gamble on 75% likelihood that I'm getting a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. Right? And then let's add into this Alzheimer's, dementia, congestive heart failure, chronic kidney or liver disease, chronic, you know, like the whole deal. Can't perform 2 out of your 6 daily living activities, requiring skilled nursing care, 24 months or less to live. Like, look, that's the difference between this and a term policy, is that 98% of term policies don't pay out because people outlive the term. But with the policies, with the coverage that I'm showing you now, like, you know, the death benefit's cool, but I quote this, like, death benefit's a dime a dozen, right? But living benefits are important. And most people will pay a lot of money to be protected if they have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, because there's somebody in their family, when their family gets together, they can stick both their arms out and probably hit someone that's had it, right? So it hits, and people, they understand that, like, this is something that we need. So they just buy policies, man. Like, I don't rebuttal that much. Like, if I'm rebuttaling, I'm getting a chargeback. Like, the end.
Right.
Like, it might feel good to wrestle with it and get it and soft close it and be like, well, we don't even know if we can qualify. Well, you know, like, let's see if we can qualify, and then we'll figure it out from there. Like, it's so tempting to do. And Ivan's laughing, you're laughing, I'm laughing. We've all done this. And those policies don't stick. So, like, if you pump up the value in them and you just let them pick one, look, you can get around, I want to think about it. You're not getting around, like, the no. Like, you know what I mean? Right. You can work with some. I'm not saying give up. I want to be clear on that. I'm not saying if they say I want to think about it, like, don't dig deeper. I'm saying, like, I don't spend 20 minutes at a table rebuttaling back and forth, like, to just, you know, just see blank measuring contest, you know?
Yeah. I get you.
I'm not doing that. So pump up the value and they're going to buy big policies. How much business did you write this year?
About a little over 200.
Okay. So you were full-time the whole year?
Yeah, I was.
When did your production start to take off? Because you write more business now than you did in the beginning, I guess.
Yeah. I would say probably like midsummer.
How much did you write? How much do you think you wrote second half of the year? 150?
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
So you could hit Hall of Fame this year if you bought more leads, because now you're better than you were last year. And if you just gave yourself, and you're with Caleb, excuse me, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, you guys have some real talented guys on that squad.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you want to. I don't know if that's your goal. I don't know if your goal is to write 400,000. I know your bank account. If you're married, your wife will like it.
Right. No, it's definitely my goal. So no, I agree with you, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Hey, follow-up question to what you said, because I also switched. I usually show 3 options. I show 2. I'm normally doing the first one CBO and the second one 125, but you're not doing that. You just show the full and then half.
Dude, I commit. I do a full commitment, and I prep the cases before I go.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I'm pitching the same exact product, just half. So if I'm doing CBO, I'm pitching full coverage CBO, half coverage CBO. Full coverage HMS 100, half coverage HMS 100. Because my thought process on showing one CBO, one not CBO, they're just going to want the CBO for the same price as the non-CBO option, and they're going to shop you on it. And be like, well, I'm going to see if I can get that CBO cheaper. And the likelihood is they're probably going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone will tell them 50% CBO, and they'll be like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take 50%. It's like 2/3 the cost. Yeah, I'll take that one. You know what I mean? So I don't do that. I like to give them zero reason to not do business with me.
That's really smart. And how do you make that decision? going in, CBO or not.
I set real appointments, man. Like I know what their situation is. You're telling me someone who's 36 years old with a $230,000 loan can't afford $180 a month?
Right.
You telling me that?
I get
Because
you.
I'm not believing it. You know, if he's married, then you know I'm gonna show 360, but I'm gonna try to get them to just I'm gonna try to get them to do full coverage on the husband and 50% on the wife, or whoever the breadwinner. Flip it around, and I'm gonna try to get a deal that's gonna be, you know, $260 a month.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna try to do. That's where like I pump up that, so I pump it up there. Like if I show an HMS 125 to that guy, you know, my deal is going to be way smaller, and I'll take it. But like I'm going to lead with that. I'll ask them, like, if they say it's too expensive, I'll be like, look, let me ask you this: like, is getting your money back important? They'll be like, yeah, I like that. I'd be like, well, dude, you're 36 and nothing's wrong with you. Why do you even want to cover the full amount of the loan? Like, let's do half. All right, that'd be great. Let's do that. You telling me that before 50 you're going to have a heart attack? Well, dude, change your diet. And then let's get it, you know.
Right.
But I'm like that in a house though, because I'm down to business, and you know, they only have to like me for 25 minutes, and that's about the extent of my likability.
I get you. That's great. No, that helps a lot. Thank you. And then, hey, if I have time, I don't know if I'm pushing it here. One more, and I don't know what area you're in. I imagine you're in a pretty larger metropolitan area. I'm in Chicago, and I run into a lot of younger people that make quite a bit of money. You know, people who are in their 30s and maybe they make 200, 250 a year. You know, those I found have been some of my roughest clients, because that added, you know, you're young, you're not thinking about a lot of death anyway, and then also you're doing well financially. I've heard people pivot a lot for IULs for that kind of person instead of doing something like the HMS. What do you do when you're under that kind of client, or are you just looking for the one that's going to pick up?
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't sell anything except for simplified issue term insurance. I don't. And Dallas has money. That's where I'm at. Chicago probably has more money than Dallas, just in terms of like the youth population. But they're not the ones returning these cars. Are you running mortgage, or what are you running?
Yeah, mortgage.
So, dude, here's what I'd say to that. It'd be like, how big are these mortgages? 400,000?
Yeah, a lot of them. 300-400.
So that's what I figure. I'd be selling the hell out of Hancock, and be like, look, like, and I wouldn't even talk about living benefits. If they bring it up, I'd be like, first of all, young people that make money think they're invincible.
Right.
Are you telling me you're going to have a heart attack before 60? Like, not likely.
Right.
I'm spinning it however I need to spin it. And then you can still do the return of premium on that. And I'd be like, you're telling me you're so healthy. If you're so healthy, not only are you going to get all your money back at the end of the plan, but your premiums are going to go down by like 7% every year. And you're going to get a bunch of discounts in the freaking Apple Watch.
Right.
So let's do that.
Okay.
You know, like, make them feel like they're silly not to do it. You got to have the confidence to do that, though.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate you being here. Rob, appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for the time.